Trump's autobiography. Here's what he said about Trump, quote, lying is second nature to him. So do you believe him?
Well, let's talk to him, and you can find out why Tony Schwartz, the ghostwriter of Donald Trump's bestseller, The Art of the Deal, is now saying negative things about Donald Trump. He made headlines last week when he broke his silence, revealing this blistering account of the billionaire he shadowed for 18 months. Schwartz says he helped create what he calls the myth of Trump. Now says he regrets it. Joins us now. Why the regret? This man is known as a showman. He's had tremendous success. That book was just a part of it. Why such regret now, Mr. Schwartz?
Because he's running for president of the United States, and you don't want someone with the attention span of a 9-year-old with ADHD and a remarkable lack of knowledge about the key issues and facing us, and an inability in my mind, based on my experience, to reflect and to compose himself. You saw it yesterday when he came out with the comments he did about Russia. He is not a person who thinks through what he says. He reacts impulsively. He was feeling small and diminished by the fact that so much attention was being focused on the Democrats, and he just couldn't stand it. That's my experience. When the attention and the spotlight is not on Donald Trump, he will do anything to get it back.
Well, then how do you account for his success? People find him very compelling. Even the media is forced to admit that he has had an ability to see a feeling, a mood, a trend in this country, especially culturally, that resonated in a way that took out a field of the GOP's best, some 16 large.
So, listen, I'm not a pundit. I'm a person who watches a man and the way he behaves, and I'm looking at his character. And what I think Trump did that I observed him doing was he used his force of personality, his insistence that any given thing he says is true, his ability to repeat and repeat and repeat, to tap into people's sense of frustration. They think he is going to be, those who currently support him, their savior. There is no one that Donald Trump cares about less than the people who are not making it in this world. Those people, though those people don't yet realize it, he considers to be losers. And the minute, because he has to be the winner and others have to be a loser, the minute that gets clear, the minute that he gets their votes is the last time he will pay attention to them.
So what do you make of what we hear about character accounts that are contrary to that? What does kids say about him? What people who say he's reached out and been charitable to them say about him?
Look,
is this a split personality that you think you detect?
No, not at all. That is, what do you expect his children to say? There's only one way to get Trump's attention and his interest, and that is to revere him. That's the setup that he created with his children, and of course, every child needs to have a father who loves them. So that's what he did. There is no second Donald Trump. The inner Trump is the outer Trump. He himself has said, I'm the exact same person that I was when I was 8 years old. I believe him. That's my experience of him.
Are you what are we talking about here, though? We're not trying to elect him priest in chief. These are politicians. They do persuasion. They often don't follow through on promises. That's why there's so much negativity toward the political culture, and frankly, why Donald Trump is seen as a refreshing change by those who support him. What are you missing?
Chris, you're setting up, as I've heard you in the last 10 minutes, a false equivalency. This is the problem, I think, in the media, is that they're treating Trump as if he's a legitimate candidate for president of the United States. There is no way he is. No more than my 2-year-old grandson would be a legitimate candidate for president. And if the media treated my 2-year-old grandson as someone who could be president, that would be scary. But when they treat Trump, who has no attention span, who has only a profound self-interest, who has no experience, and only has his inflated confidence as a qualification, it's terrifying. It's terrifying.
But Mr. Schwartz, let's look at the two men on the screen right now. You got paid to advance what you say is a myth about him, lionizing him. I am blacklisted by Trump and the Trump campaign because of taking him to task and testing him over issues. He is the presumptive, now the real nominee of the GOP. He got more votes than anybody in GOP modern history. You can't just take it all away from him, especially when you tried to create it, right?
Yes, well, listen, I tried to write a book when I was 35 years old about a guy who was a small real estate developer with an instinct for promotion. In a million years, I never imagined somebody would run for president, and at that time, I don't think he did. It's a mistake I made. I did something that I deeply hope that young people in my position would not do, which is I did it for the money. It was a mistake. I have regretted it for 30 years. In my journal during the time I was writing the book, I wrote my regrets. I feel that the fact that I did it is irrelevant to whether or not he is qualified to be president. The reason I'm with you is to be able to warn the American people that this man is not the man, those who are in support of him, is not the man they think he is. He's their enemy because he is the 1%. He's the 1/1,000,000th of 1%. He's the person who wants to get all of their money in order that they, and as a consequence, leave them without the very power they're so angry they don't have.
I understand your motivation, and that's why we brought you on the show, because I appreciate your perspective. What I'm trying to get out of you, though, if somebody's listening to you and they want to support Trump, you need to convince them that he is different in the ways that you're describing than Hillary Clinton and that other politicians are, because these traits that you're ascribing to Trump often get put on politicians. So what do you think you know about him, especially from so long ago, maybe he's changed, maybe he's different, that people need to pay attention to now?
He, as I've said before, and as Tim Kaine quoted me saying last night, he is a unrepentant liar. He says things that aren't true. That's what I experienced him as. I invented the phrase in order to help him kind of cover over the fact that he lied. Truthful hyperbole. Truthful hyperbole.
You
Well,
created that? Oh, that was a good one.
Well, the problem is that there is no such thing as truthful hyperbole. If it's hyperbole,
that's why it's
it's
such
a
a good
lie.
lie.
And the problem was at the time, I thought it was a harmless lie, and for reasons of self-interest, and I'm not the only person who operates from self-interest, but I did. I'm sorry I did. But truthful hyperbole is an admission of deceit. And I think the notion that this man makes it his business to lie, as he did, by the way, this morning when he said, I was being sarcastic. He wasn't being sarcastic yesterday about Russia. He was responding impulsively, reactively, without thinking, which is what he does. Do we want a president who doesn't think? Do we want a president who doesn't think? That's a difference between him and Hillary Clinton. I'm not here to argue Hillary Clinton's case. I know she has plenty of issues, and so do all politicians. But what I am here to say is no one doubts that if Hillary Clinton had to make a decision, she would think carefully about it, she would seek outside counsel, she would be reflective, and Trump is incapable of doing that.
Tony Schwartz, I appreciate you coming forward. I know that this is not a comfortable situation for you, but it's important. This is our country we're talking about. So thank you for sharing your perspective. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. There is a lot going on in